So the other day, I downloaded the latest firmware update for the ATEM Mini, the one with the update for the Constellation 4 ME, but I noticed that the firmware was a little bit larger than it normally is. I poked around the files for a bit, and I could not believe what I found. Hi, I'm Aaron Parecki. So in this latest beta download, there is what looks like an accidental leak of a firmware for a new ATEM Mini product line. So we're going to take a look at all of the details of the new family of ATEM switchers. I even found some press images of the new ATEM, which has a lot of clues for the new features they are adding to this device. I will admit, I didn't expect to see a new series in the ATEM Mini family right now. I would have expected an update to the more professional rack mount switchers before NAB. But what it looks like based on the new device is that they're doubling down on the consumer line of gear, specifically getting into the social game. So let's take a look at the new device. First off, in keeping in the true Blackmagic tradition, the official name of this device is the ATEM 1 ME Vertical Mini Social Studio HD4 Extreme Pro ISO G1. The G1 refers to a new processor that the ATEM Mini uses, which makes it literally uncrashable. With the new G1 processor, there is no way that the ATEM can crash or lock up at all. You don't have to worry about accidental lockups, and there is no longer a connection limit, so you can use it with as many external controllers as you want. It makes it a completely rock-solid device for your studio. The G1 processor also adds some new AI features to the device, which gives it a few neat tricks for some new video effects, but we'll get to that a bit later. This is a 4-input switcher, hence the HD4 in the name, and the basic switching functionality works just like the regular ATEM Mini line, so it should be familiar to you if you've used any ATEM Minis before. The biggest difference is that this device is vertical. You can use it flat on your desk, but that is super awkward, especially when the device is this tall. So we're of course going to make a PK1 stand for this model too. It'll work similar to the stand for the InStream, which is YoloLive's vertical streaming encoder. This stand holds the device at a much more comfortable angle to use it, and it also has a C-clamp on the back in case you want to mount it to a tripod. So the 4 large buttons on the bottom of the switcher switch between the 4 HDMI inputs, and there are the familiar audio controls for each input as well. There are helpfully 2 analog audio inputs as well, and then of course there's the useless picture-in-picture buttons up in the corner here. On the right column, there's the cut and the auto buttons, and you can change the transition style and duration with these buttons. I don't know why they moved the fade to black button into the middle of the device, but I guess that's good because nobody ever uses that button anyway, and now you won't accidentally press it. These 6 buttons control the HDMI out just like the ATEM Mini Pro. There's also these streaming and recording buttons in the top corner just like the ATEM Mini Pro. You might notice these 2 new buttons up here. It turns out there are a couple of really neat tricks of the new vertical ATEM. Once you choose a default emoji in the software control, this face button will show a stream of emojis floating up while you hold it down. This sparkle icon is a filter button, and you can choose from a couple of different preset filters from the software control, like a sparkle filter or making a funny face effect. By default, these buttons just do the default effect, but if you download the software control app, you can choose which effect they will have with the buttons when you press them. Speaking of which, I was actually able to install this beta firmware on my ATEM Mini Pro, which lets you try out almost all the new features of the new firmware. You just lose out on a couple of the new buttons that they're adding. The trick with the new firmware on the ATEM Mini Pro is that after you install it, you have to physically rotate your ATEM 90 degrees, and the gyroscope inside will recognize that you rotated it and it will then activate the new vertical features. So that's a sneak peek of the new vertical ATEM Mini. I don't know when it will be officially released, but I wanted to share what I do know in the meantime. Let me know if you have any questions down in the comments below, and as always, thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.